What's going on, boys? Thanks to our patrons and if our customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind-the-scenes stuff. Arm yourselves typology stuff. We'll try to keep this one brief because I'm starting later than usual. But before we get into the meat of this video, you like that title, don't you? I don't think you can type people as quickly as people think you can type people. Maybe I'm getting rusty, but I'm fascinated with this whole post-typology existence, because in the absence of mechanical or electrical typology, I still think about types. I still notice people's types, but it doesn't happen from that electrical diagram place. After being out of typology for a while, I notice it's more like behaviors, collections of behaviors. And maybe that's a useful way to use typology once you are finally done with it all. You do all the deep typology bullshit, you do all the mechanical bullshit, and then you walk away, and as all the deeper stuff recedes, you stop thinking about it, you stop paying attention to it as much. You walk away with an awareness of clusters of behaviors unique to certain types. Meaning, you learn if you catch someone do this, which is a very particular trait or behavior respective to one type, you know to be on the lookout for other behaviors. I drank something wrong. I went to go talk, and there was still some shit, I guess, in the wrong tube, and I thought I could muster through it or push through it, and that didn't happen. Or maybe this is just a natural reaction to doing typology shit in the year of our Lord 2026. Your typology knowledge ages like a cheese from a tradesman type knowledge to a more tribal type knowledge. Anyway, we killed 2 minutes, 6 minutes to go before we can get mid-roll ads. INTP conceptual frameworks. What am I even talking about? INTPs don't care about the truth. The true truth. INTPs care most about the truth from where they're standing. Now, to be fair, I think in all INTPs there is an awareness. Well, actually, no, fuck being fair. That's not fair. That's unwarranted generosity. Some INTPs are aware of the way their location in life, in the world, affects, or how it affects their logic, or what they think about, what they care about, which is true for everybody. But some INTPs might be a little more aware of that than other people are. But that doesn't change anything, because if it's outside us and it's probably not going to affect us, then we really don't care about it. It's not real to us. And that's what I mean by INTP conceptual frameworks. But there's a larger point we'll get to, but the essence here. An INTP's outlook is defined by his or her circumstances. That's one of my favorite ways to, well, pick up on INTPs, but pick up on TI in general when I'm evaluating somebody based on what they're saying. An FI type will say some shit that's wrong, and it's less embarrassing, and in fact, less frustrating too, because an FI type is designed just to say dumb shit. That's what they do. There's no rhyme or reason, they just say stupid shit. And it's defined by this lack of connection, or you can't see some logical framework formulating behind their eyes when they say dumb shit, because they're not trying to build any sort of understanding, true or false, or correct or incorrect. They just say things. Much more embarrassing or cringe-inducing or terrifying for them when you see or when you recognize a TI type say something you know personally to be false, as if it's one given part of this logical system they're building in their own heads, but from limited information or bad information. A great example of this from somebody I respect a lot, points of view I respect a lot, Patrice O'Neill. He believed there were 5 women born to every 1 man. And this is one of the smartest people I've ever encountered. Not encountered personally, but know of. See, with INTPs, or with all TI types, but it's most noticeable in the NTPs, it's very easy when you don't have enough experience, or you don't know something, or you're, oh god, what's the word? It starts with a C. When you are filling in empty spots on the periodic table, that you know something is there, but what is actually there might not be what you think it is because you didn't see it personally. But all these other things have proven to be true, so there must be some reason. So INTPs, the TI, NI types, so SFJs too, actually. But if you look, you'll spot most TI types doing this because they're very concerned with the framework they've built, and they'll go through it. I don't know why we do this, but occasionally we will slip into explaining our grand theorem of everything. And that's where you'll catch holes in their knowledge. And if you are dealing with this person in whatever capacity, it's good to know where there are holes in someone's knowledge. And this is a good way to gauge someone's age or how protected or fortunate they've been in life, which is, this connects up to the point we're getting to later. Because very low experience TI types, and INTPs especially, they'll try to build their theory of everything while gathering as little experience as possible. So when they, or when we, start talking to people, we sound really, really dumb. That's why if you're an INTP, you need to go out into the flaying winds of the world and allow yourself to be torn apart, so at least when you are going on some autistic rant about why you think something works the way it does, you have something to base it on, and you don't completely embarrass yourself and make everybody uncomfortable. Or if you are going to make everybody uncomfortable, you at least won't feel embarrassed, because you know you're right. And this all is a consistent running fear of mine. And when you deal with undermining type people, people who would prefer to repress information that is a little too true, a little too close to home, a little too uncomfortable, they'll pick up, well, first, they'll pick up on any holes in your knowledge if they do exist. And you'll know they've done that because these sorts of people, they will not miss an opportunity to skewer you truly and properly. These are the INFJs of the world. These are the white women of the world. These are local level pseudo-politicians, or actual politicians. But you'll know when your bases are mostly covered because they still can't stop from attacking you. This is information that needs to be repressed. But they won't be able to skewer you. They'll need to rely on things like your own doubt, your own concern about what the actual truth is and whether or not you're living up to it. That's what they'll attack. But I was thinking about this context shit, because I don't think it's just a matter of an INTP's outlook being defined by where they are right now. I think an INTP's contextual framework is defined by the lowest they've been in life. Because when I was younger, despite issues, I had no idea how low things could go. And then things went that low, and you're aware they could go lower, but they didn't for you. And now that you've climbed back up a bit, it's not like you are back in La La Land. Mentally, you are still down at the lowest low you fell to, or were pushed down to. I think that's why other INTPs are usually so insufferable to me. Most INTPs walk around like they have everything figured out, but most of them have never gone through much. They don't believe, because that's another thing about well, this is TI and FI DOMs in general. If we aren't made aware of something, bodily usually, then not only will we often not acknowledge it exists at all, but also will be opposed or hostile to the idea that it could exist. It's another reason we are insufferable. You add on to that this propensity to give people unwarranted advice like you are giving them this ancient knowledge that will save them. How gracious of you. And you're this smug, done nothing, do nothing still, know nothing, experienced nothing dipshit. Really irritating. I try not to tell anyone anything, especially unasked for, because I'm aware of how douchey and irritating it is. And also dangerous a lot of the time. For the INTPs watching this, if you haven't figured this out yet, nobody likes the new guy with bright ideas. It's not people jealous of your IQ. It's not the system oppressing you. It's that you, day one, at a new job or around new people, you have no idea, no personal experience with what's going on here, how any of this works. You think you know better than the way this machine that other people have built and have run for however long works. And it's irritating for a bunch of reasons. One, because if people listened to you and implemented your ideas, the system would fall apart pretty quickly, or at least stumble. Two, the fact you're doing this at all indicates that you don't have enough experience to know not to do this. Meaning you're going to have a shitty attitude, and this victim complex be very difficult to deal with. And also, probably you will demand an explanation for why things work the way they do, instead of allowing your understanding to build over time for the information to soak in. You'll demand an explanation, and then if someone is stupid enough to set aside their time and be patient with you and give you an explanation, you'll reject it and get even shittier because it doesn't make sense to you. And a lot of INTPs will go their entire lives acting like this, doing shit like this. And I am not a fan of it. One, because it's irritating. Two, because I used to be like that. Three, because I am always terrified I'm still like that. Now, to summarize this video, INTPs try to make sense of what's around them, or what they have experience with, mentally, or at least, how do I want to put this? INTPs are defined by their lows, but it's not necessarily a Debbie Downer thing, although that happens a lot. It's more like, how low on the pyramid do your concerns start, based on what you've experienced, been exposed to, or dealt with. Because once you've been exposed to a grimy underbelly, that awareness never goes away, and I think, you'll never really be able to relax up at the higher levels because you know firsthand what's down there. And if you haven't figured out exactly how everything down there works, then you're at risk of going back down there again. Or maybe even lower. And that's terrifying. Because once you are aware of your lowest low, you become acutely aware of even lower lows. And this is interesting. I think we protect ourselves from seeing those lower lows firsthand. Something I've noticed about INTPs is we are very pain and suffering avoidant. That's why so many of us try to understand the world without living in it. Now, the actually rational thing to do, once you're aware of these lower lows, especially if you're afraid of them and you're trying to understand your lows so you never get back there, it would be to seek out those lower lows so you can understand those too. Because you want to understand everything, right? You care about the truth, right? You want to avoid situations like those. And maybe some advanced, enlightened INTPs do that. I'm sure all of them will be in this comment section. But you don't do that, and it would be easy to write that off as strictly a cowardice thing, but I think it's deeper than that. Or maybe a deeper cowardice than that. I think on some level, you are aware if you are subjected to the lowest lows of all the lows, you will never come back from them. No matter how bad you as an INTP believe your mental health to be, or your headspace to be, it can always get worse. Worse than you know, although, as I'm saying here, I think on some unconscious level we're aware of that. So you avoid it, you avoid those situations, you avoid those excruciations, because where other people might be able to make some comeback from that, might be able to heal and to go on to live a better life and people will all clap, you will spend the rest of your life trying to understand that worst moment. And that worst moment, that lowest low, will define everything you think for the rest of your life going forward. No matter how old you get, no matter how far you run, no matter how high you climb. That monstrous thing, whatever it was, will always be there. It'll always be a threat, and you'll always be trying to understand it, or the world that permitted it to exist, or what to do about it. It's grim shit, and this is one of the reasons I like ISTPs a lot. I think they go through the same thing, or have the same issue. The difference is they are somehow able to shut it off, or to close the door. Now, they can't deal with it the way other types deal with it and heal, but they're able to close the door, and as long as they don't step through certain tripwires, they can get through most of their lives okay enough. But I like them because they live with it too. INTPs, not so much. That is your contextual framework. And this video turned out a respectable length. Not so long, I feel like I've thrown all my pearls to the swine and I hate myself over it. But also not so short that I am strictly garbage farming. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.